You know that feeling when you're driving home after a hard conversation and your stomach just feels yucky? You know something went wrong, but you can't pinpoint the moment that it shifted. Maybe you got defensive, maybe they did. Nobody said anything mean, it just landed kind of wrong. And now you're sitting with this knot and wondering, do I say something? Do I just let it go? That in-between space is where most of us get stuck. Not angry enough to confront it, not okay enough to drop it. Today, Suzette's going to help us figure out what to do in that space. And it starts with something way simpler than I expected. Welcome to Unafraid Living, a podcast where you will learn to fear less and live more. I'm Kim, and I'm here to ask questions that you might be thinking and maybe getting some clarity. I'm joined by Suzette, a certified brain health professional. Let's call her Coach Suzette.
Yes, I do like that better, Coach Suzette, rather than brain health professional, because I am a life coach and my passion is helping you embrace the life that you actually really want to live. I'll show you how to quiet the fear so that you can face each day with confidence and resilience. Hey friends, Suzette here, your brain health professional. If fear or anxiety has been ruining your life lately, our Unafraid course was built for you. The Unafraid course helps you retrain your brain to move out of fear and into resilience, one small shift at a time with proven, practical, and simple tools. Affordable options let you work at your own pace or join me in our private community, all for less than most therapy sessions. No more excuses. Be your own advocate and sign up for the course at unafraidcourse.com to start rewiring your brain today.
We're glad you are here for our last in our Say It Unafraid series. Today, we're talking about repairing conversations after they go wrong. And this might be one of the hardest communication skills of all.
It might be because repair requires something of us that's different. Humility, emotional regulation, honesty, and self-awareness, and sometimes a bunch of courage.
And probably swallowing your pride, too.
Yeah, yes, that's that humility part. It's a golden nugget when it comes to relationship repair.
There you go. There's your golden nugget.
Yeah, you got it already at the beginning of the podcast.
So what makes humility so powerful, or this golden nugget?
Well, humility says the relationship matters than being right. It takes the spotlight off your ego and puts it back on the connection. And the fascinating part is when someone approaches you with genuine humility, your defenses almost can't help but come down. Mm-hmm. It disarms people and it creates this place of safety. It says, I'm not here to win. I'm here to understand and I want to reconnect.
That is so true. So when someone comes at you defending themselves, you kind of like brace for a fight. Mm-hmm. But when somebody comes with you with honesty and says something like, I think I got that wrong, kind of melts your heart a little bit and something shifts.
Melts your heart. It does. Humility doesn't mean that you're weak and it doesn't mean that you're entirely wrong. It means that the value of the person is there. You do value them. You value them and the relationship enough to get uncomfortable for a minute.
Why is repair so important though? Because I think a lot of people just avoid, defriend, and move on.
Mm-hmm. Well, defriend and move on, or sometimes just shove it under the rug and move on. Mm-hmm. But the reason that it's so important to go ahead and address the communication that's gone awry and to do it quickly is because it causes people to feel disconnected. You might not feel disconnected, but they probably do, mm-hmm. or vice versa. And it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. It happens in marriages, sure, but friendships, families, even in the workplace, that tension can destroy unity and problem solving. Mm-hmm. You're not working together. You've got unresolved disconnection and it doesn't just disappear. It usually settles, and it settles into bad things like resentment and distance and tension and confusion or hurt.
You just said quickly. I want to focus on that for a minute. Why is it important for you to do it so quickly?
Because when you don't do it quickly, it gives time for all the stories to start running in your head. And those stories can really, really mess you up because you start thinking things like, gee, this always happens. Nothing's ever going to change. Why do I even try? Is this even worth trying to move forward in this relationship? Or I should just quit if it's a work relationship. There's so many things that happen in our brains and we're not really necessarily conscious of it. These are even sometimes just seriously subconscious thoughts that are pushing you in a negative direction when a relationship has gone awry. So you just need to get to it as quickly as possible. I will say though, that if there are things in your past that didn't get fixed, it's not ever too late to try.
That's encouraging to hear, that if you haven't resolved, that you can still do it.
Oh, yes.
Back to what you said before, it kind of sounds like you're saying you have to talk things out until you agree. But we know healthy communication is not about always agreeing on everything. And even when you normally have a healthy communication, things do sometimes come out wrong.
Yeah, they do. And healthy communication absolutely is not always about agreeing. Communication is not communication when nobody ever messes up, right?
That's right.
Yeah, healthy communication involves messing up and repairing it.
How do conversations that start out well but fall apart so quickly sometimes?
That's a 2-word answer. Dysregulated emotions.
Oh, there we go with those emotions again. But it can also be going well and then change without any warning.
Yeah, that's a 1-word answer. Triggers.
And we all know about triggers around here, right?
Well, most of us do, I think. Yep. If you don't, it's probably pretty easy to figure it out.
How about getting into some depth here about all this?
Okay, fair enough. Yes. We talk about these things sometimes on the surface, and we do want to get a little deeper here. We all have emotions. We know that. And emotionally stable people are pretty good about regulating them. But even those people, we all have triggers, old wounds, insecurities, patterns from childhood, things that we're sensitive about. And when a conversation bumps up against one of those emotions, we can spike fast into dysregulation. So once emotions rise high enough, the nervous system shifts into protection mode instead of connection mode. And when that happens, people stop listening. We've heard this before, right? They stop listening and we start preparing a defense for ourselves. We react impulsively and we assume the worst just because we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect our own feelings and our own emotions.
This means that we're usually not thinking clearly anymore, right?
A dysregulated brain protects itself before it connects. So it can't really connect when it feels emotionally unsafe. And it's important to know this because sometimes people think, well, if I really loved this person, communication would just come naturally. But the truth is, any relationship that lasts more than a minute will have some misunderstandings, some disagreements, some conflict. It's how we deal with it that counts. So if we can be calm, this is actually something, I say if we can, it's actually something that we all have access to. It's just something we have to figure out how to use. It's a tool. Like, have you ever had a tool? Have you ever gotten a gift of a tool and you look at it and you're like, I don't know what to do with it. You've got it, but you don't know what to do with it. Well, that's what this is, calm communication. You've got that gift. You just have to learn how to use it. So it might be that you're totally unaware of its existence, but I'm telling you, you've got it.
Okay.
It's within you. And like with most tools, you've got to develop the skill to use it well. So I've got a serger in my closet. I have that tool. Do I know how to use it? Nope. And when I first start trying, am I going to surge really well? Nope. It's going to take some practice.
That's right.
And this calm communication, look in your closet, in the closet of your heart and mind, and see if that's not there. I guarantee you it is. You got to maybe dust the dirt off of it, or maybe it's buried. Maybe it's buried behind a lot of stuff, a lot of clothing in your closet that's covering it up and you can't see it. But when we dig it out, dust it off, and start practicing, it works for all of us.
We talked a lot about that in our last episode, what happens in the body and the brain when all these emotions take over. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and check it out, because today we're building on that.
Last time we were about recognizing what was happening inside your body. And today we're talking about what to do after things have actually gone sideways.
Oh, and doesn't that happen? That actually feels pretty encouraging, because I think people expect themselves to communicate perfectly.
And when we expect something of ourselves, what do? We expect it of everyone else too.
That's true.
So we get mad at ourselves really quickly and everyone else. But we're not very good at it. And if perfection was the goal, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
The goal is really knowing the other person, understanding the other person, listening well. And when we don't, it doesn't define us and it doesn't define our relationship. We're still okay. And repair is how you communicate that healing.
So healthy relationships aren't conflict-free relationships, are they?
Have you ever known anyone to have a conflict-free relationship?
No.
Right? Healthy relationships are always relationships where people are willing to repair.
And both sides, right?
Both sides. When I was in coach training, I had to do like lots of different kinds of things. And one of them was a relationship class. I actually got a certification in that relationship coaching. And in that, one of her biggest mottos, she had a lot of little sayings that she would say, but she said, every good relationship takes two good forgivers.
Ah, yes.
Thought that was
I would
really
agree
good.
with that.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're making this point, because I want people to hear that, because so many of us carry this belief that if we were just better communicators, if we tried harder, that we'd never have these ruptures in our relationships. But it's not realistic. The question isn't whether things will go wrong. The question is what to do next.
Okay, so what does repair actually look like in terms of this wrong conversation, this one that went sideways?
Went awry. There's lots of different ways it can look, but sometimes repair sounds like, I don't think I communicated that very well. Can I try again? I got defensive. Remember we talked about humility? Mm-hmm. This is the example here of all this humility coming forward and showing itself. Can we try that again? Because I stopped listening.
I think we could all say that in every conversation, probably.
At some point. Or I think I misunderstood what you meant. I want to hear your heart. Or I'm sorry for my tone. Or sometimes it's first, I need a pause, but I know that I didn't communicate that well.
And none of that sounds too difficult or too dramatic.
It's not. Repair is actually simple, but it's humble and it's honest. And one of the healthiest things that a person can learn to say is, I want to continue this conversation. Maybe you might say, but not right now because I feel flooded.
Right. We've heard that term before, flooded. Why don't you tell us what it means again?
Well, literally flooded. It means that you are flooded with emotions. You might just think of it as emotionally overwhelmed.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when you are telling someone that you need a pause, you just want to make sure that you tell them when you will come back. Because taking a healthy pause is very different from emotionally abandoning the conversation.
I think that's important.
So it's okay to need time. It's okay to need to calm yourself first. It's okay to say, I need an hour, or I need tonight, or can we talk tomorrow morning? And honestly, sometimes you might not feel ready when that time comes. But healthy communication means you continue moving forward toward repair instead of avoiding it indefinitely.
Okay, so I think a lot of people are probably getting stuck right here. They know they need to go back and address something, but they don't know how to start. Like, what do you actually say when you walk back into the room, or in the next morning when you're going to continue this conversation?
Awkward. It's a real question. And I think it feels really hard because most people are afraid of two things: being vulnerable and being rejected. Those two things are sometimes just stop us. Mm-hmm. We're afraid that if we go back and say, I messed up, the other person might use it against them or not meet them halfway.
Yeah, that is a real fear, by the way.
Yeah, it does happen, doesn't it? But we can't control how the other person is going to respond. We can control whether we show up, and whether we show up with honesty and humility. So here's what I'd suggest. Start with ownership, not explanation. Don't lead with the why you reacted the way you did. Lead with what happened instead of, well, I only got upset because you said, that's defensive. I got reactive and I stopped listening. That wasn't fair to you. That's taking ownership, right? It's the same thing. I think maybe we need to go over that again. So instead of saying, well, I only got upset because you said, so that's blame. Taking ownership would say, I got reactive. I stopped listening. That wasn't fair to you. So it's not saying that they didn't trigger you. It's not saying that they said what they said was okay. It's just taking ownership and saying, I got reactive and I stopped listening. And the truth is, it's never fair to someone to stop listening.
That's right. Something that comes to mind when you say take ownership is instead of saying, oh, the thing broke, you say, I broke the thing. You know, it's two different. I don't know. It just broke. No, I broke it.
Yes.
It's kind of that same thing, taking ownership. I got defensive.
Yes.
Or whatever, emotional or whatever the excuse is or whatever happened.
Okay, so I think this is a funny story. Just yesterday, we were out in the yard and we have a sprinkler system. It's fairly new and it's had some issues.
Okay.
However, it was really not working well. And my husband took the cover off, dug out a bunch of dirt. A bunch of dirt had gotten down into this, the starting point of the system.
Okay.
And he said, uh-oh. He goes, there's some PVC pipe that's broken.
Uh-oh.
And he had told me before, he goes, I ran over it with the truck when we were emptying dirt into the garden beds. And he goes, I really didn't think too much about it. But then when it wasn't working, I was like, huh. And he goes, sure enough, it broke it. And so we were talking about it and how we're going to fix it. And at the end, I was like, honey, I'm really sorry you ran over that with your truck. And the reason I did that was because he was so good about immediately taking responsibility for it. And then it just sounded funny to me because we're not always, and we've been working on it. So,
well, that was good of him to take ownership.
Oh my goodness. Like yes, it really was. I mean, it was kind of snarky of me, but he thought it was funny too later.
And all of this is somewhat a big shift because it seems like most of us just want to explain ourselves first.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And explaining almost always sounds like defending. That's because it is defending. You're presenting your case for what you did and why you did it. Even if you feel totally justified, like you had the right. If you lead with ownership instead, it creates safety. And once safety is established, then there's room for deeper conversation. And you can let them know what triggered you and what you were feeling and why you did what you did. But you don't lead with it. You take responsibility for it.
Okay. Ownership first, then you can explain yourself.
And sometimes the most powerful repair is just 2 words. Bet you can't guess what those are. Can you?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. But there's no but. I'm sorry, but is not I'm sorry.
That's 3 words, not 2 words.
No buts. But erases everything before it. Everyone knows that, but yet, for some reason, we keep doing it.
That's right. That's right. It just is kind of a natural thing. Our brain wants to keep us safe.
That's exactly right. And we feel like if we have a defense, then we're safer.
Right. I think another thing that happens is we start making assumptions really fast. I know we've talked about this before in our other episodes about assuming things about people and what they say and what they mean.
We jump to conclusions. Interrupting is a key for that.
Okay.
So if you can stop yourself from interrupting, it really, really helps. But when our emotions are really rising, we just create the stories. We've talked about all the lies that we believe, but it makes us dysregulated. So I think that some of the worst things that happen in relationships, and it really doesn't matter if it is at work, at home, with friend, at a store, in school, anywhere. When we start feeling dysregulated, we tell ourselves crazy things like, I'm failing. They always do this. I'm being rejected. They don't care about me. Nothing is ever going to change.
And we all know that's not true.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it feels very true.
Yes. And it can be, honestly, all of those things together, it's death to a relationship. So we've got to stop ourselves from doing that. Because when we believe those thoughts, we begin to react to the story instead of to the actual conversation itself.
Yeah. Don't believe every stupid thing your brain tells you. I believe that's a Dr. Amen quote.
It is. And this is where it gets really important for repair, because sometimes the reason we don't repair is because of the story we've told ourselves after that conversation that went awry.
Okay, explain that.
Well, think about it. The conversation goes badly. You walk away and then your brain starts narrating. See, they don't respect me. They'll never change. Why do I even bother trying? And now you're not just dealing with the original conflict. You're dealing with the whole storyline that your brain has created in the aftermath. And that storyline makes repair feel pointless.
So we have to challenge those stories before we can even get to the repair part.
Yes, it's why grounding matters so much. It helps us slow down long enough that we can talk to ourselves and ask ourselves some things like, do I have the full picture? And sometimes we just think that our way of thinking is the only way of thinking, but it's never true. So we need to ask ourselves, what other explanation could there be? Because there's a multitude of other explanations. We just haven't thought about them, or we don't think they're true. Mm-hmm. So asking ourselves a few questions. So let's break it down to just 3. Is this true? Do I have the full picture? And what other explanation could there be?
Hey, before we move on, Suzette, people are always asking us, where do I even start with all of this?
Good question. Knowing where fear is coming from, though, and how it's affecting you is a great place to start. That's why we created the Fear Audit. It's a free worksheet with real questions that help you see your patterns. Plus, it's got 3 practical shifts, tools that you can use right away. So it's not just awareness. You walk away with something that you can use right now.
Yes, so you can grab it. The link is everywhere, but if you want to go to it right now, it's at unafraidliving.com/free-fear-audit. It's free, it's quick, and it might change how you think about what's been holding you back.
And while you're at it, if this podcast has been helpful to you, please leave us a review. It really does make a difference. It helps people who need it find it.
It's the easiest way to support what we're trying to do here. Okay, let's get back to it. We have mentioned heart-focused breathing a lot in this series, and you walked us through it a little in our last episode. Can you give people a quick refresher and how to use this specifically for repairing?
Yeah, I want to keep this simple because we're going to go much deeper into this in our next episode, but here's a little quick version. If you notice that your emotions have taken over, whether you're still in the conversation or you've walked away from it during that pause, either way, you can breathe a little slower and a little deeper than usual. Focus your attention in the area of the heart. Now, if you're in the middle of a conversation, this may be hard for you, but it will get easier as you start to practice it. It's really effective. So if you need a little bit more intentionality to this, and this is easier to do if you're not still in the middle of the conversation, but if you need a little bit more, you can intentionally bring to mind something that you appreciate. So if you can bring to mind something like maybe a person that you really adore, anything, could be a pet, an experience, somebody that you love and appreciate, it can be really powerful. Maybe it's a vacation. I like to think of peaceful things. So anything that brings peace to your heart and calm and happy, that's what you want to think about. So recalling a good memory. So then as you're breathing a little slower and deeper than usual, and you're focusing your attention on the area of your heart, you're continuing to do that, and you're recalling something that brings joy to you. And in this case, you might want to think about that person that you're having conflict with, and think about what it is in them that you truly appreciate, that you truly admire, that truly brings joy to you.
Even when you're mad at them, you're supposed to do this?
Especially when you're mad at them, because what you're doing is telling your nervous system, I'm not under attack anymore. I can think clearly. I can choose how I respond, and I know reality. And seriously, even a minute of this, maybe less if you're well practiced, it can shift you from chaos to clarity. It gets your heart, your brain, and your body back in sync. And that's when you're actually capable of real repair.
So it's not really about stopping the conversation permanently. It's about resetting yourself so that you can come back and do it well and repair.
Yeah. You're not abandoning the conversation. The more you practice it, the faster it works. So I'm back to heart-focused breathing here. I want you to know this. So really, the more you practice it, the better you will get at it. And next episode, we'll be talking about the science of it and how it's been used in a lot of corporations and organizations that you would be so surprised at. For now, though, this is one of the most powerful tools that you have that you can use right now to regulate your emotions enough that you can walk into repair.
Here's something I think a lot of people deal with. What happens when you're ready to repair it, but the other person is not?
It's really hard because you can't force someone to repair something on your timeline. But here's what you can do. You can communicate your intention clearly. Something like, I know things didn't go well. I'd like to talk about it when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere. And if you can do this with humility, and you might even add some more to that, some things like, I want to take responsibility for what I did. If they can hear that, that can be a huge draw for them to want to come back to that.
That'll open up the door instead of trying to force them.
Exactly. And the last part, I'm not going anywhere, that can be incredibly powerful because a lot of people, when conflict happens, their deepest fear is abandonment.
Yes.
They've dealt with it, maybe traumatized by it as a child. So is the person going to leave? Are they going to pull away? Are they going to punish me with silence? All of those things are real questions. Those stories that they're telling themselves, but they can be triggered because of real situations that they have experienced before, so they feel them very deeply. So when you say that I'm here and I want to walk through this, even if they're not ready, you're communicating to them, I'm offering you safety.
Gotcha. And what if they never come back to it? Like they're the avoider. What if they just want to pretend it didn't happen?
That's a real thing. In that case, you may want to gently bring it back up. You might say something like, I know neither one of us loved how that conversation went, and I don't want to pretend it's fine if it's not, but would there be any way that we could talk about it? Just ask. If the pattern continues, someone consistently refuses repair, that's important information about the relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship needs to be over, but it does mean there's a deeper issue worth paying attention to. And I'm a big fan of getting professional help when it's needed.
I am too, but there's also, you're dealing with somebody else, so it's hard when you're willing to get professional help and they are not, which may be a whole other episode.
It could be.
But I do agree, professional help, getting somebody to step in to see both sides.
That's really true, Kim, and very difficult when one person is ready and the other is not. However, there came a point in my relationship coaching. I worked with lots and lots and lots of couples. And then I just got tired of it. And I went through a phase where I would only work with one. And the reason for that is because when one person will take responsibility for themselves and their actions without blaming, then everything starts to shift. And it may be that the other person's still a blamer. They can't change that, but they know what they want to be, and they can know then how do they want to proceed in the relationship. So it was very, very effective. So I would say professional help is good, even in the case that the partner or the coworker isn't ready to talk.
Good to know. Good to know. Does repair look different in different types of relationships? Like, is it different with a spouse versus a coworker versus a friend?
Really, the core is the same. So ownership, humility, honesty, but the delivery, that's probably where there's a little bit of a shift. So with a spouse or a partner, there's usually more emotional history. There's more triggers. They run deeper. And repair requires more vulnerability. With a friend, repair sometimes means naming it. A lot of friendships suffer in silence because people are afraid to say, hey, that conversation didn't set right with me. You hurt my feelings. And in the workplace, repair might look more like professionalism. So you don't want to necessarily, talk to a coworker like you do a spouse or your very best friend, but the repair is still just as necessary. So you might say something like, I came on a little more strongly than I had intended to in that meeting, and I want you to know that I respect your perspective. So let's talk about this.
I love that. I think people assume repair might only be for very close relationships.
Not at all. All relationships, any that matter, where trust matters, and that's most of them, right?
Right.
Benefit from repair. And sometimes the smallest repairs, sometimes they're just really little, make the biggest difference. A genuine, quick acknowledgement can prevent weeks of tension.
All right, Suzette, what's our practice point for this week?
This week, practice repair quickly. Not perfectly, quickly. If you notice yourself getting reactive, defensive, sarcastic, harsh, withdrawn, or emotionally flooded, don't let shame keep you stuck. Pause, ground yourself, calm your body, and come back to the conversation with honesty and humility, because repair builds trust far more than pretending that nothing ever happened. And here's a bonus challenge. If there's a conversation from your past, even your recent past, that didn't go well and was never addressed, this might be the best time to go back and say something. It doesn't have to be a big production, even something as simple as, I've been thinking about our conversation and I don't think I handled that well. Can we revisit it?
Is it okay to send an email or a text of that? Or does it have to be a phone or face-to-face conversation?
It really depends on the person, knowing the person. I have a very dear friend who much prefers to have time to sit on it. So she's always wants it to come in text or email.
Okay.
I think that honestly, an email is better because it's not sent so quickly. You sit there, you look at it, you make sure it's right. And when you're doing something like this, you don't want to mess up and get the words all twisted because you were already in a place that's not good, right? That the relationship's already got a little hitch in it, right? So you don't want to do something dumb and, send a text accidentally too soon and it says the wrong thing. So I would suggest an email. However, if they don't look at email often, you might just text them and tell them.
Gotcha. Hey, I sent you an email. Mm-hmm. Check it out.
Right. But I would say in general, in person is better.
Okay. Either way, something like this does take guts.
It does take guts. Lots of courage. But that's what it means to say it unafraid.
What is your takeaway from today?
Conversations go wrong sometimes. It's part of being human, but relationships grow stronger when people learn how to reconnect, when they learn how to repair and regulate themselves and communicate with kindness instead of defensively. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to be willing to come back to the table with the humility and the honesty. I know I've said that a lot this episode. And with the courage to say, I want to do this better.
Great takeaway. Next week, we're going to get into how grounding and we're going to get into heart-focused breathing more and how they can help, the science behind it, and how to actually practice it and why it changes everything we've been talking about in this series. So make sure you come back for this one. It's not necessarily part of this series, but I think you're going to get a lot out of it.
It's helpful for all these
conversations.
Yes. So the whole series is a building up toward that. We've talked about why communication is hard, how processing styles create conflict, and how to listen without getting defensive, and how to set boundaries, and how to manage emotions, and how to repair today. And the tool that ties together is what's next. And you know what's kind of cool is we're going to talk about something maybe some of you have heard this, but I've never heard anybody talk about two different kinds of grounding and how they tie together. So the emotional grounding, and then also the grounding that is also known as earthing.
Right. And that is how we say it unafraid. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you're walking away with something that helps you feel a little calmer, a little more confident, and a lot more free.
And if you're ready to go beyond just listening and start living unafraid, come on over to the Unafraid course. You'll find all the details at unafraidcourse.com.
Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And be sure to check out the show notes for any links.